Shane Gisbergen completes his third Cup Series trip to Martinsville Speedway and scores another top 15 finish and finishes in 14th place. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to our video. As I just said a second ago, Shane Gisbergen completes his third Cup Series trip to Martinsville Speedway and scores a second top 15 finish at Martinsville Speedway and scores another top 15 and finishes 14th place at Martinsville. Now, Shane Gisbergen did qualify around 20th to 22nd position in the race, but we know that Shane Gisbergen, especially with a tire that does wear off quite a bit, we knew he could be a potential factor for a top 10 or a top 15. In the early portion of the race, especially in the first 10 to 15 laps, Shane Gisbergen actually started moving up to the field. He would gain a few positions early on in the race, as he wasn't as amazing on the short run as he would be on the longer run. By the time we got to the first caution, thanks to his teammate Daniel Suarez, he would be around, I believe, 20th to 21st position at that point. Then some drivers came down pit road to basically come down, and Shane actually, I think, would gain a position on pit road. And then on the ensuing restart, Shane would be restarting around 20th at that point, but Shane Gisbergen would start charging his way up to the front. Just like Ryan Blaney, who was really good on the long run throughout the day, Shane Gisbergen was the other driver who was really making a lot of passes at a track that's been kind of difficult to pass with the next-gen car. But as Ryan Blaney was passing cars, SVG was starting to make those passes. He would get by a lot of really solid and really good cars throughout the day. He passed Bubba Wallace. He passed guys like Cole Custer in the middle portion of these runs. He'd get by Chase Briscoe. He would pass Josh Berry. He would get by Tyler Reddick. His car on the longer run was so good that he was actually up to around 11th or 12th position by the time he got to the middle of stage number 1 and was continuing to move his way toward the front at this particular point on the longer stretch of runs. By the end of stage number 1, I think there was another yellow that might have come out near the end of stage number 1. He would come off the corner being inside the top 15, I think around 12th or 13th, with only 14 cars on the lead lap as William Byron was dominating at this point, and Shane would be inside the top 15 at this point, being one of only about 14 cars on the lead lap. We got back going once again. A few cars got back in the lead lap, taking the wave around, and Shane would restart around 12th or 13th after not the best, actually restart around 10th or 12th. Not the best pit stop would end up happening for Shane. Would lose some ground, and once again, he fade back a little bit as the run progressed. But then once again, he started charging his way back up to the front as we got into the longer progression of the run. And would kind of maintain around that 15th to 13th range most of the run in stage number 2. A lot of caution started taking place at this point. You have Bubba Wallace, I think, having contact at one point, spinning somebody out. You had other drivers getting spun like Carson Hocevar and other drivers getting the incidents throughout the day. But Shane kept his cool together and would charge his way up around that 10th to 15th range. Near the end of stage number 2, Shane Gisbergen actually would go ahead and stay out. He actually had come down pit road during a prior caution, but near the end of stage number 2, Shane Gisbergen would stay out and restart around 8th, 10th position, while guys like Chris Bell, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Chase Elliott were also staying out, trying to put themselves in a good position, maybe for the end of the race. But SVG would restart in 8th position. He would maintain a top 10 run by the end of stage number 2 and would come off the corner, finishing, I believe, in 8th or 9th position. And William Byron would, of course, come off the corner and win stage number 2. But after all that happened, Shane would actually then come back down pit road and basically would come down because he had older tires at that point, and then come down pit road and he'd be restarting around 16th or 17th position. And in stage number 3, Shane would kind of maintain that track position in the early portion of the run. It seems like tires weren't working as good as they were earlier in the race. But once again, as a longer run progressed, Shane started moving up toward the front and would get inside the top 15 with around 100 to 150 laps to go. Once we got to the green flag pit stop, Shane would be inside of the top 10, but a caution would come out around 120 laps to go for Eric Jones, who ended up spinning out for no reason to spun out into Bubba Wallace. Shane would be trapped a lap down, unfortunately. Because of that, he is able to actually get the wave around and get back up on the lead lap. And we're restarting around guys like Kyle Larson, like Chase Elliott, like Chris Bell, guys competing for a potential spot and a potential victory like Kyle Busch as well, and would restart inside the top 10. But he didn't get the best restart, kind of got moved out of the way a little bit, and would fall back to around 13th or 14th at that point of the race, and would start fading back a little bit at that point. But then another caution would come out with around 25 laps to go, thanks in part to another driver having some issues and problems, and would restart around 14th or 15th. On the final restart of the race with 10 laps to go, he would get a decent restart, move inside the top 15, try to be a little bit aggressive at the end, and try to get ahead of guys like Josh Berry, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, and those guys battling for potential top 10 positions. But he run out of time to make the move to get inside the top 10. As they would come off the corner, William Byron pulled off the clutch win and picked up the victory, and Shavin Gisbergen would come off the final corner and finish in 14th position and score his second top 15 finish in the Cup Series at Martinsville Speedway. A very solid run for Shavin Gisbergen. He ran inside the top 15 pretty much all day long, and we are starting to see that a lot more consistently and a lot more commonly for Shavin Gisbergen. Over the course of the last 5 or 6 races in particular, his stats have been really, really impressive. Since Kansas, he's finished inside the top 15 in 4 of the last 5 events. And you think about the Las Vegas race, where Shavin Gisbergen was, of course, inside of the top 10 for a lot of that race and was restarting inside the top 5 before he got taken out. Then you think about New Hampshire, where he was inside the top 10 early in the race, competing for a top 5 at that point. Got taken out by Brad Keselowski. If you take out those finishes, Kansas finished 10th, won the Roval, finished 11th at Talladega, and finished 14th at Martinsville. And that was about as good as he did in the fall last year here, where he finished in 12th. He's ending this season off on a really strong and really, really good note. And if you're a Shavin Gisbergen fan going into 2026, you have to have a lot of confidence, especially on the ovals. I don't think anybody's going to be expecting SVG going to next year to go from being a guy running in the 10th to 15th range to going to be a championship contender on the ovals. But if he starts running like this on a consistent basis, I really do think that Shavin Gisbergen could absolutely be a threat to maybe get some top 10s on a more consistent basis going into 2026 and put him in that conversation, depending on what the format is, depending on the conversation. He could be in that top 10, top 15 range in the point standings. Be close to guys like Kyle Busch, his teammate Ross Chastain, near Connor Zilisch next year, near Daniel Suarez at points next year, Bubba Wallace, and Ryan Preece, and Brad Keselowski. Be in that conversation on the ovals, because what Shavin Gisbergen has been doing, especially near the end of the season, he's been one of the most improved drivers to start to finish, because at the beginning of the year, he was out to lunch and really, really struggling. But what he's been doing the last few months, he's been doing a lot better, and he'll be looking to close the deal and close the year out on a really strong and really good note, considering he's had some decent success at Phoenix in the past. I can see him having a really solid run there. It's been really fun to watch Shane so far this year. We're looking for that progression, and Shane is continuing to progress and get better. And I think by this time next year, we'll be talking about potentially contending for top 10 in the points by the end of the year. He's going to probably finish like 22nd or 23rd on the full season points. But what an improvement from the beginning to end of the year for Shane, and get another top 15 at a track where tires matter a little bit. I think that if you're an SVG fan, you have to be really happy with the run today. He put together a very solid and a really strong performance, and he deserves a lot of credit for the improvement that he's put in this year. He's put the time. He knew he had to get better on these ovals if he's ever going to want to contend for a championship. And man, if he could just turn some of those 20th, 25th place finishes and get top 10s, he could put himself in position to finish in the top 10 in points and have a really strong year, and could finish in the top 10 in the points. But a really good end of the year, a really solid closing out for Shane, and Shane should be really proud of the accomplishments he had this year. A very solid run for SVG today, score solid top 15. Was against guys like Kyle Busch and Ryan Preece throughout the day. A solid day for him. Congrats to Shane on a really solid, good run and finishing inside the top 15 once again. And now goes to Phoenix, trying to close out the year and finish on a strong note and go into 2026 with a ton of momentum and confidence. So, that is going to be for the Shavin Gisbergen video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are thoughts about Shavin Gisbergen's performance today from Martinsville? You think he had a good run or a solid run today? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have Truck Series Championship predictions. We're also, of course, going to have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days with news we talked about since Friday. Then on Tuesday, we're, of course, going to have race picks for the Truck Series race, and we'll have the Xfinity Series Championship predictions. And then on Wednesday, we'll have a NASCAR news video. We're probably going to have news videos dropping throughout this week as well, with a ton of news expected. We got a busy weekend coming up. We'll be doing championship reactions, who wins the championship, and other videos coming throughout the week. Cup Championship predictions on Wednesday, and we've got some other fun stuff dropping soon as well. We got content coming up, people like Haley Deegan, Shavin Gisbergen, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Charlotte Creed, Sam Mayer, Frankie Muniz, Kyle Larson, Chase Light, Ryan Priest, Cletus Zavron, Dodge Ram, Will Brown, Brian Feeney, Cam Waters, other stuff like Jesse Love, Nick Sanchez, Harrison Bird, you name it, all the good stuff. We'll talk about the channel in the coming days and the coming weeks as well, along with Junior Motorsports too. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode. I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, buddy.